Alright, hey guys, today is Tuesday, May 5th, and so what we got today is lesson 11.9, so just moving through this stuff, 11.9, and so we have a couple definitions. The first definition on page 438 is a rational equation, is an equation containing one or more rational expressions. Some rational equations can be solved quite simply if they are in the form of a proportion where one ratio is equal to another. Remember that a proportion may be solved by first cross-multiplying and then solving the equation that results. And so the first type problem we're going to do is number 1 on page 441. So number 1 on page 441. And so the first one here is just a proportion set up. And so notice here, these problems are going to be the simplest. Notice you have a fraction equals a fraction. A proportion equals a proportion. So if you have a fraction on one side equals a fraction on the other side, you're just going to cross multiply. And so all I'm going to do is cross multiply. I'm going to multiply the 3 times the x going down like that. So 3 times the x is going to be 3x. And then 7 times the 4, multiplying back up, 7 times the 4 is equal to 28. So I have 3x equals 28. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and that will give me x equals 28 over 3, and I'm done. So again, if the pattern sets up to where you have a fraction on the left equals a fraction on the right, you're just going to cross multiply and solve. So that's number 1. Number 5 works similarly. You have 4 over 5 equals 2 over x minus 1. So again, we have a fraction on the left equals a fraction on the right. It doesn't matter if there's an x minus 1 on the bottom, that's fine. It's just a fraction on the left equals a fraction on the right. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply again. Number 5 is actually x minus 2, not x minus 1. So I'm going to cross multiply, and I'm going to do 4 times x minus 2. So 4 times x minus 2 equals, then I'm going to do 5 times 2, cross multiplying going back up, is 10. So 4x minus 2 equals 10. Then I'm just going to simplify this down. So 4 times x is 4x. Simplify, distribute that through. 4 times a negative 2 is a negative 8. So I have 4x minus 8 equals 10. Then I'm going to add 8 to both sides and get 4x equals 18. So 4x equals 18. Then I can divide by 4, and I get x equals 18 over 4. Then I can try to simplify that if I can. And so notice that a 4 and an 18 both have a 2 in common. So I can divide both of these by 2, and that will reduce to x equals 18 divided by 2 is 9. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So x equals 9 over 2 would be what it would reduce to. So again, fraction on the left equals fraction on the right. You just cross multiply and solve. Alright, the next one we will do is number 6. So number 6 is going to work similarly. You have again a fraction on the left equals a fraction on the right. So we're going to just cross multiply. I'm going to do x minus 3 times 10. That'll end up with 10 times x minus 3. Then I'm going to multiply my x times my 7. So x times my 7 would be 7x. So equals 7x. Clean it up. 10 times x is 10x. 10 times a negative 3 is a negative 30, equals 7x. Now I'm going to solve. And so you can do this any way you want as far as moving things over. I'm going to go ahead and move this negative 10 over since I already have 30. So I'm just going to get the x's on one side, the numbers on the other side. And so I'm going to subtract 10x. That way it goes away there. And subtract 10x on the right. 7 minus 10x is a negative 3x. So I have negative 3x equals negative 30. Then I'm going to divide by negative 3. And x equals 10. So x equals 10. So those will be those. And so all of these problems on the board that I've done so far have dealt with when I have a fraction equals a fraction, you just cross multiply and then solve your problem. And so those are like that. All right, now I'm going to look at number 13. Notice it works a little bit differently because notice what happens. We have a 1 over x plus a 1 over 4 equals 1 over 12. So 1 over x plus 1 over 4 equals 1 over 12. So notice now I don't just have one fraction equals another. I have to actually solve this by finding a common denominator, that way I can add. And so if you look, this problem is going to work like 11.9b on page 439. Basically what we're going to have to do is multiply every term by the least common denominator. So you have to multiply every term by it. Even if it's on the left or the right, you have to find your common denominator and then make sure we multiply every term. So the question is, what would the common denominator for this one be? Well, this one's an x, so that's okay. This one's a 4, and then this one's a 12. So what's the least common denominator between all of them? Well, that would be just a 4x. So 4x is going to be my denominator. Because this one has a 4, this one has an x, and so that's what we're going to do. And so for this one, coming through, I have to multiply this first one by what it's missing. So it's missing the 4, and so I'm going to have to multiply it by 4 on the bottom to make sure it gets to the 4x. Then I'm going to have to multiply by 4 on top as well. And so that will leave me with a 4 over 4x for that. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 over 4 is missing the x, so I have to multiply the x on the bottom and the x on the top. And so that would be plus an x on the top and the 4x on the bottom. And that equals 1 over 12. So what's the 12 missing? Well, it's missing the 4x. And so it's missing both the 4 and the x. And so I'm just going to go ahead and multiply it by, on this other side, multiply it by the 4x. And so that would be 1 over, or multiply on. So that would be multiplied by 4x there. So basically what happens is I end up with 4 plus x over 4 equals 4x over 36. Okay, so that's what I have now. So notice now we can work it where it can just go through where it works through. And so you can do the 4x's are going to cancel. And it would be 4 plus x equals 36. And then subtract 4, and I would get x equals 32. So again, we'll work through another one. We'll do which one I was going to do. I'll do one more. We'll do 17. So again, I have a common denominator, and so you're going to find the common denominator for 17. It's going to be, for this one, it's going to be an x on the bottom. So when I do that, I'll wind up with an x here. So x times x would be x squared, and I need an x on the bottom. So x times x is x squared minus 3 equals negative 2, and I have to multiply it by an x as well. And it's all over x, and so we don't really have to worry about our denominator since it's all the same. And so what I'm going to do then is basically solve x squared minus 3 minus 2x there. So first I need to get it all on one side of the equation so I can solve it by guessing check. So when I do that, I'm just pulling that over as a plus. So I have an x squared minus 3 minus 2x, plus 2x. I have to add 2x to both sides. Minus 3. And then I'm going to solve that. So when I solve it, we're going to do guessing checks. So minus tells us different signs. Okay, we're trying to get to a positive 2, so opposite signs. That's just going to be 3 and a 1. This will be an x and an x. So trying to get here, it'd be a 3 here and a 1 there. Now when I check it, it'll be x times 1 is 1x. And then negative 3 times x is a negative 3x. Whoops, that gave me a negative 2x. And so I'm looking for a positive 2x, so that means I have to switch my signs. And so that's just factoring it. Now I set each factor equal to 0. So x plus 3 equal to 0. And solve that. That'll give me x equals negative 3. And then x minus 1 equal to 0. Solve that. And that'll give me x equals 1. So 1 and negative 3 will be my answer there. So again, just get your common denominator and go through it like that. Okay. I think that should give y'all a good starting point. So I'll stop right there for today. Your assignment, so listen up here in the video. Your assignment is going to be 1 through 30. So 1 through 30 is what I assigned. Pretty much, I need you to focus on 1 through 20. So 1 through 20 is what I need you to focus on. The rest of them are just a little bit more complicated, so I'm going to assign those for you to do, but make sure 1 through 20 is what we focused on. If you struggle a little bit with the last 10 or so, that's fine, but 1 through 20 is what I need you to do. 1 through 30. So that'll be your assignment, 1 through 30. I'll even do 1 through 30 even for you. So it says just 1 through 30, I'll assign 1 through 30 even. And so that'll be today's lesson. Hope y'all do okay with it. If you have any questions, get up with me. It'll be easier to go through it with you one-on-one. So hope y'all have a good day.